So we were learning this week. Week 1 was about meditation, and this week we're learning about health, energy, and performance. The neural mass originally thought that it will grow till certain age, and then afterwards it will only go down. Somewhere mid-youth, somewhere between in 20s, it goes, the neural networks. Originally they thought at birth we have literally that 100 billion or more than 100 billion neurons, and then it will only slowly go down. But then later it was known to be growing, and then it starts coming down. It will only come down, and if the neural connections are about memory, and if it goes down, then obviously the memory has to keep going down only. But they found that with meditation, it can be reversed. Meditation is increasing the number of neural cells and then connections that can be formed, and hence the various mind faculties, various powers that the mind is helping us have, and hence we can actually have a very effective engagement in life. But memory loss is dreaded, right? So obviously for us, for many, may not be a challenge, but those who are, as they have aged, or some if they had any mental disorder, Parkinson's, dementia, so some of those aspects are there where then it leads to depression. If anybody is losing memory, that leads to depression, because suddenly you don't have control of the life. But not only that, memory is one aspect, but there are various powers that meditation is helping to increase. Long-term meditators, they found the frontal cortex, that means this whole area here. Neocortex is the whole brain top cap, which is the conscious brain, conscious mind. In that, the frontal cortex area, and then many other regions of the brain, are found to be thickened, which is directly proportional to the amount of meditation one is doing. They're found to be thickened, it's called gray matter. They found that it is thicker for long-term meditators. And when it is thicker, then it is helping very important cognitive functions. Cognitive functions are ability to learn, ability to analyze, ability to decide, rationalize, act. A lot of these are all cognitive area, and then that is very important, we know that. So meditation is, in scientific studies, and this very famous Harvard professor's study, Dr. Sarah Laser, is quoted quite a few times. And many have done. We just search meditation and mind power, you will get many studies. But Sarah Laser's study is quite landmark study in 2005, that they found that the cerebral cortex is thickened. And as it is thickened, so long-term meditators, as it thickens, that means you have a more stronger cognitive function. And hence there is a lot of powers. And there is another area, the long-term memory, which is in the subconscious, which we talked about this, conscious mind, subconscious mind. So the inside brain, which is called limbic brain, is where the long-term memory is there. The long-term memory is in an area called hippocampus. That area is also thickening. They found that area is also thickening for meditators. So because of that, regular meditators will have no or less and less memory loss even if we age. So meditation is increasing several memory powers. Normally, we say that memory power means, okay, I don't remember well, I remember well. There is only one memory power, but there are actually many powers from meditation. And they all are important. And then they all are in one way or the other is already at play for many of the meditators right now who have been meditating for some time. For example, reading power. Many have said before meditation, hey, I know it's not done by me to read a book. I can't. If I start a page and open the book, then suddenly I go to sleep. I get distracted. But then now, many are reading. Many are reading. Of course, there are various memory techniques to increase this reading, called speed reading, this and that. But in general, meditation is enhancing our reading ability. And then reading ability in the context of, as we have been learnt enough, that knowledge has to be expanded. We got to keep on expanding knowledge so that as we are meditation is lowering the negative thought, but we want to fill it up with a positive, miraculous, higher, supportive, expanded consciousness. So that we got to read the right books. So meditation is intelligently helping, and so we as meditators are reading right books, but of course children, and then it is supporting us in many ways in our entire career. It's great for children. So storing power and access power are two powers which are essentially combined together is the memory power that we normally talk about. So the memory power that we normally talk about is combined to storing and access. Meditation is increasing the pack, help store appropriately in the right places in a nice way. Just the way we pack in shelves, multiple things. Packing well enough that when we want something, we should be able to take it out quickly. So storing and access, these powers are increased because it's primarily because that memory region, hippocampus, the long-term memory region, is getting strengthened with several neural networks. It's all neural networks means neural cells. Cells come with more gene expression, more blood circulation into the brain, more blood circulation, so naturally there is regeneration happening, right? And then more expression, so you have more cells getting created. If the more expression, if the genes are expressing themselves to extra protein to upregulate something special, an area of the brain where it is always weak, but with meditation, with the positive thinking, miraculous thinking, with that feeling, part of manifestation, visualization we learn into week after next. But when we have those feelings, then we can also generate and then develop new areas. And so storing and access power is in this hippocampus area. So this is long-term memory. As that is developing more and more connections, so memory is improving. Great, right? Memory is improving is great. Concentration is the single big thing in being highly productive. In whatever we do, we know that. This technique should be taught to every school, every child, because none of us have been taught how to concentrate. We've only been told to concentrate. Focus and concentrate is the two words we constantly hear, and then we tell children also. Just focus. Focus on a given thing is told. If you have 10 things, okay, take one thing and then do. But when I'm doing that one thing, how do I focus? What will help me increase my focus? Eat some badam nuts, and then so that will going to help increase the focus. We know some food choices which we are probably using. But that's not the point. I mean, they are very, very minimalistic in comparison to the meditation, where it is actually directly going in developing this neural aspect. So concentration, reading, learning, these three are with respect to the thickening the frontal cerebral cortex that I talked about, the gray matter from long-term meditators, cognitive functions. So more, it's called neuroplasticity also. So that means you are creating more and more, so you're able to rewire the brain circuits to learn more. You got to have that ability, otherwise we can't learn. When the glue is less in the brain, apparently the neural glue, which is binding connections together to form memory, and so then we don't feel like learning. It's tough. We feel like it's a tough uphill task we take, and we're supposed to be in IT particularly, or in even banking, everywhere these days. All the systems and processes are changing. So one of the biggest challenge for companies is that the reskilling employees, because technology is changing, customer expectation is changing so quickly. So then you got to reskill, and the reskilling is a big problem because learning takes time. Nobody wants to read, and the learning takes time and no concentration. So fundamentally, it's so tough. But meditation is addressing all three. New neural connections, so we feel like learning because whatever we try to read, it's supporting by forming connections there. If it's not, then you learn, but then you don't even remember anything at all because it's not even forming a proper connection. The cell is not able to use enough neural cells to store that information. So learning is not supported. You try to read, you try to assimilate, but then it doesn't even stick very well in the brain. So learning is also about synthesizing information from multiple areas. For example, if I read a book on past lives, and if I read a book from say Dr. Newton, and if I read a book on inner child and how relationships are there, by this book called, a very beautiful book by the way, this book called The Awakened Family by Shefali Sabari. Very nice book, something that I've read a few pages. How to Raise Empowered, Resilient and Conscious Children by The Awakened Family by Shefali Sabari, Tsabary. So if I read one book on past life regression, one book on this one, which is about talking about how the children can be raised, the inner child, and a lot of that is being talked about. And if I read another book on quantum physics, now what is common thread? Can I put all of this together and understand more about consciousness by looking at all these three? So that's our learning power, right? Now we synthesize information from multiple areas, not keeping them as compartments, but holistically we are synthesizing. So that's learning. So learning from multiple pieces, deriving from one to the other, right? So if you tell a child fire is there, you will burn your finger. So the next time the child learns, right? It's learning from it, and then the child learns. The next time there is a small fire, a big fire, the child immediately learns. Oh no, it's okay. It's going to burn my finger. It's called learning, basic learning, right? At the grossest level, we are doing that, and then use that when you apply. But many times we read, but we can't learn because we can't understand it because there is a system is not supporting based on the foundations. And so learning, reading, concentration, dear friends, are three important aspects. We know it, and then meditation is nicely enhancing them. Cognitive functions. Another reason is stress. We talked about it. When the stress reduction, when the stress is there, and we said stress is shutting down many functions of the body, right? Digestive system, this neural systems, it is shutting down. Reproduction system is shutting down. So no sexual appetite, no appetite for doing any new initiatives because people are under stress, because no reproduction thing at all, no interest. Because too stressed, no interest to do anything. So when the stress is removed, automatically the cognitive, so part of the stress is that cognitive functions are shut down too. And so when stress is removed, so then again neural functions are working very well, right? Because otherwise they shut down, blood circulation not going happening. So that's another core area of how these three powers are improved. And then thought power and creative power are two things which are fundamentally are happening. So the creativity is happening on 2-3 ways. Uh, one is this neuroplasticity, to wanting to try new. It's supporting you to learn new, and every time we learn new, then we have a new experience, so we feel like doing something different, right? If I'm reading a new recipe, and then if I only can read it and understand it, then I can actually do something. So creativity comes naturally when you say learn something new. So there is that. And then two, as we are reading and as we are understanding that we are here for experiences, and then when you break routine and then do newly, then we create new things, right? So the creativity improves because we want to feel like trying new things, because we want new experience. We're trying to break the routine. For example, 6 months later, Karthikeyan sir is in Pyramid Valley. Must be totally different the way the day is spent. Totally different from the way days were spent in the last 6 months. Completely with an absolute greenery, absolute silence, absolute serenity, whatnot. We're even seeing tortoise in Pyramid Valley. So, totally new experience. And the creative power is coming out when we are doing things newly, differently. And thought power is clearly is directly is in the proportionate to how much time we spend with this infinite field. That field, that intelligence that we are there, when you spend enough time, so then there is that much observation, collapse the possibilities, our thoughts are going and reaching the targets. So what we think will happen is because we are spending as nobody, no thing state, and so we're receiving all the frequencies into the brain, and then they translate imagery. So whatever we wish it happens, we say, okay, you have thought has a lot of power, your word has a lot of power, because whatever you say it happens, because then we're going into meditation, then we're receiving all that various possibilities around that thought that we've constantly been putting, right? So whatever we project, a thought is electromagnetic energy, it's going into the field, and then the possibility, information about the possibility is received, and then it shows up as a insight, I don't know, a physical manifestation during a wakeful time at some point. So we say, okay, our thoughts have power. So thought power increases. People think, and then things happen. So friends, meditation is improving all these faculties. First to start with remembering, then to cognitively utilizing learning and utilizing the information in a big way, and then enhancing that and accelerating the next level of manifestations with your thought power, and then doing infinite creativity with the creativity. So life is beautiful. There is also an area, isn't it fascinating? There is an area called compassionate reason in meditation, in brain. Apparently they've done some studies too. There is a region called compassionate. So people who are very compassionate, and so that region also getting developed. So if you're compassionate, so that region is developed, which is causing certain chemicals to be reduced that produce that people are becoming very healthy. So maybe you can experiment. If people who are very compassionate are very healthy, that's also there. When people are very compassionate, are very healthy. Meditation is helping improve that compassionate feeling. Many people in the last 2-3 months have said, I don't know, I feel like helping. I feel like being with everybody. So that's because we're developing that compassionate region is also getting developed through meditation. So dear friends, so this week we learned on health, energy and memory. We call this program resilience and peak performance. So resilience will come to it next week. When we're talking about emotional intelligence, we'll come to resilience is to be able to bounce back in the most adverse situations and then continue to perform. So it requires performance and also be able to bounce back in adverse situations or stay balanced in adverse situations. That comes through built up through the emotional intelligence. Being self-aware. But performance is all of this what we said. We got to have health, we got to have energy, and we got to have, of course, the powers. So 2 weeks, 3 weeks we understand, and then we should be able to start having enough understanding about this meditation. And then also at the same time, if hopefully many people will start noticing enough changes in the way that you're performing at work. I know some have said that we're already seeing better focus, more productivity, better energy because less sleep, more and more, better sleep, all of that is already there. Thank you all.